unpacking till about 3 o'clock or later this morning. So I'm a little tired, and I was up at 6:30 getting started again. So didn't sleep much. I'm tired. Couldn't find my brush yesterday. Couldn't find my comb today. I had my hair just piled on top of my head, but it looked a little weird for the camera. So that sculpture over my shoulder there was done by my daughter. She did these other, I don't know if you can see them, these other, let's see, those two pieces my daughter did as well. Can't see them very well. It's actually green. There's a shadow because of the sunlight hitting it. The little brown one is just clay that she's done in a curly cue. It's kind of fun. I usually stick flowers in it, subflowers. Welcome. It's sunny here too, Donald. I appreciate the sun. Anyhow, the ponytail on the back of that sculpture didn't survive the move, but the pieces did, so I'll see if I can glue it back together. I wanted to start back in Daniel 9, while we're praying. Here's Elly, hang on. Hi, Sunny, Elly.
Hey.
Look at your beautiful butterfly on your shirt, that's nice.
Yeah, I like it. I used to have a butterfly necklace with it, but I think I loaned it to my granddaughter and it disappeared.
That happens. Oh, I was gonna, if you'll mute me there, I'm gonna read a little bit from Daniel again. As we're praying for President Trump, he's talking with the governors right now. And then he's gonna come on at 6 Eastern, I think, is his schedule for tonight, and announce what they're gonna do about opening up and what states and who's gonna do what. And, it's appropriate that he's leaving this up to the governors because of states' rights. That's an appropriate thing to do. And, but, as he said in his press briefing yesterday, if the states don't do right, then the federal government's going to step in and the president will step in and say something. But so far, with these conference calls he's had with all 50 governors have been on with him on a consistent basis when he's done this, and they've been very appreciative of the help that they've gotten. So yes, Elly, we're still getting echo from you. So anyhow, I was gonna read a little bit in while we're thinking about praying. Trump asked for wisdom in the decision to reopen. He said this is the most significant decision of his life, trying to decide whether it's safe to reopen or not, because of how contagious the virus is when you're close to it. I got a call from Oklahoma a few days ago, and every 15 days, like clockwork, somebody else in the family had it. So the incubation, 15 days, and then boom, the next one was down with it. So about the time they thought they'd skated through, somebody else had it. So he was saying it was very contagious. But they, 80 some percent, 87% survival rate, 80 something percent. So that's for as contagious and dangerous as they claimed it was or is. I think that's pretty good. So I'm just going to read a little bit from the book of Daniel, from Daniel's prayer in chapter 9. He said, all this disaster has come upon us, yet we have not sought the favor of the Lord our God by turning from our sins and giving attention to your truth. The Lord our God is righteous. We have sinned, we have done wrong. We, O Lord, in keeping with all your righteous acts, turn away your anger and your wrath. Now, our God, hear the prayers and petitions of your servant. Give ear, O God, and hear. Open your eyes and see the desolation. We do not make requests of you because we are righteous, but because of your great mercy. O Lord, listen. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hear and act. For your sake, O my God, do not delay, because your people bear your name. While I was speaking and praying, confessing my sin and the sin of my people, and making my request to the Lord, then the angel came and brought him a message and to give him understanding and insight. And and also told him that as soon as he had begun to pray, Gabriel headed to him with the answer that he was seeking, but he was detained in the sky by and Michael the archangel had to help him. So it's just an illustration of the spiritual warfare we are under, and he's saying here our prayer, Second Chronicles 7:13, starting at 13, it says, if I send a famine and plague, and locusts, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and then this is the important thing, turn from their wicked ways, then he'll hear, forgive, and heal the land. And I know Vice President Pence talks about healing of the land a lot. So where is Larry? I do not know where Larry is. I have tried calling where I thought he was, where he had been, where I had been able to reach him, but I've tried a couple times. I didn't try yet today. I've tried a couple times the last couple days, and there's been no answer. There was talk of moving him, but because of the virus, they said he was not going to be able to be moved. So he didn't know if they would find some other place other than where, his first choice, and move him anyway. I have no idea. Mark doesn't know where he is, and his the nurse that has helped him a lot on a frequent basis also has not talked to Larry in over a week, so we don't know what's going on. So, he's still here in the state. That's all I can tell you, as far as I know. So, thank you, Sherry, for what you had to say. It's just, God's judgment starts with the church. God's judgment starts with his people before he goes after anybody else. And frankly, there are people who have been told by the Lord that this virus was not sent by the Lord. It was something that Satan did to just be evil. And as I mentioned, I think a week ago or so, Job and all the trouble he had, he gave the devil the right to attack him because of his fear. And near the end of the book, he says, all this came upon me because I was afraid. And so Job acknowledged it as well. So we must not be afraid. We must be filled with faith, and faith comes by hearing the word of God. And so I'm motivated to keep hounding you to press into the word. If you are afraid, get into the word, and remember there's 365 verses that say don't be afraid. So with that, Elly, Trump had a press conference that just finished half an hour ago, where he was thanking the truckers and gave out some awards to some of them, and it was lovely. Here's a president. I don't know that I've ever known anybody who was so free and so quick to thank and praise other people. And the fact that he's putting Pence forward with these press briefings, putting Pence in charge of the virus task force, and letting Pence speak at press briefings and stuff, I don't know that that's ever been done before. He is a president is such an appreciative man. And that's a lesson we can all learn from him. And so that's, I've been impressed by that in the last 3 days. I've really wanted to make sure you all know how much I appreciate you. I was texting with somebody this morning, and reiterated it again. I said, I am so proud of every one of you who are here in the chat for how aware you are, how awake you are, how knowledgeable you are, and for the most part polite in talking to one another. And that makes the show fun for me, and I would imagine for Ellie too, when we've got good interaction going between us. So all right, Ellie, you are being told that's a great color on you. So
You like the butterfly, so I
I
don't know. Maybe I'll have to get more orange. You know, it's weird the lighting. I think I look great in the color, and I put it on and look at it. It's like, ugh. No, I don't know. The colors I think don't look good are actually looking good. I don't know. Maybe I'm pregnant. You never know. Well, wait a minute now. I have to think about that. I haven't been around Clinton for a while, so I don't think so. So anyway, wow, I had a really big show this morning because of everybody that was coming out yesterday. Um, it was like one after another. It was, even the trucking industry today. If you listen to what the president had to say, it's booming. They're keeping us afloat. They really are, and have kept us, along with the bankers and the farmers and everybody that came out yesterday. Basically, was just slamming the media and us, people that are just putting them down and saying we're gonna crash. Now, what I said yesterday with China, and it came from the lab. It came from a virology lab, and we did find out the original number one case, or the zero case, was actually a lab worker, and he had been walking around loose for, they say, a week, is what China said. I'm getting that he was walking around for a few weeks before it was spotted that he had this virus. And he himself said he thought it was the flu. And then, we got the message that they had locked up one of the doctors after he disclosed that this was very dangerous. They jailed him, and some have heard that he died in prison, in the Chinese prison, but no one was really letting it go through the media that he had the virus and died from the virus. The bad thing is that China blamed it all on the wet markets. And come to find out, it's back in this lab once again in Wuhan. And so now the only thing that did was get PETA over there to expose China for cruelty to animals. And even over here, that we even had wet markets that should be looked at. Not only were it just cruelty to animals, but then PETA had disclosed that they were letting the food rot. So pretty much the embassy, we come to find out what was disclosed yesterday. The embassy had warned world leaders that China was playing with dangerous viruses in a lab and that it needed to be looked into. Now, this was also told back during SARS. I found this out just this morning, that when SARS had come out, the same thing had come out, that the embassy was warning Obama that this was a deadly disease and that it had come from a China lab out of Wuhan. But they didn't listen. Not even the World Health Organization was listening to them. And so now they're, of course, saying their response to all of this now today was, we were only doing this so we could come up with vaccines to be able to fight any of these, like the bird flu, the swine flu, all that. So if anything else come up, they would have a vaccine for it. Well, when you look at the track history of China and the Democrats, they never have come up with the vaccine, even though Ebola. I don't know if you all remember when Ebola hit, they were going to come up with the vaccine for it. It's still none made, according to all the patents. Neither has AIDS. The Clintons were supposed to come up with the AIDS vaccine. They never have. So now we have all these labs that are testing bats and other. To me, it's bio warfare. This is biological warfare, and that's my opinion. Um, the thing about it is, we are hearing from that's coming out of Congress and Senate that they are definitely backing, along with the media, on World Health Organization, but we all know that, they're mad at Trump for it, but they're defending China. And, she came out with this whole touching statement of caring about all the people and the Small Business Administration. And Pelosi even came out with, oh, we have to extend the unemployment benefits. And then behind everybody's back, she's siding with China pretty much, which is dangerous, very, very dangerous. She's claiming Trump is being dangerous by trying to let the public loose, and yet she's dangerous for infecting everybody. I mean, look at what she did February 3rd when we were ready to shut the country down, and she said, come to San Francisco. That's scary. What is really scary more than anything, Mary Ellen, is when we asked the World Health Organization for their facts and their data. And this, everybody else needs to, pay attention to this one, because this is dangerous. That the World Health Organization took the side of China, saying it wasn't person-to-person contact. It was not touching type of virus. And then now that we have asked them for their facts and, what all they had done, they said they never did investigate it. So they never did anything. They never looked into it. They don't have any facts. But they went ahead and supported China on all of this. And it was only to cover up the facts that they didn't have. So they never, ever really investigated it. So if Trump knows this, that's why he pulled the funding. And then somebody just got through saying that Bill Gates gave them billions now, because Trump wouldn't give them the money. Bill Gates is giving the World Health Organization the money to keep going and lie to us. And I think it's something that it needs to be looked at. And the other thing that came out was even the heads of the UN are now looking at the World Health Organization at deceiving not just the United States, but the whole world. And now they're looking at maybe either replacing the head guy or fines. And I don't know how they would do fines to a World Health Organization, but except for just saying don't do it again. But replacing the head guy is definitely a good one. That's a really, really good idea. And, I think Barr really needs to look at Bill Gates at this point on what he's doing with China. And, he might be. It just, we expected, like the UN said, we expect the World Health Organization to look after us. And not only did they let this one slide, but look at SARS, the swine flu, H1N1, and everything over the decades that has been coming out of China. All of this stuff's coming out of China. And of course they said, oh, well, we're experimenting, or they're looking at vaccines. And I would like to see their facts. And then, Mary Ellen, this is what was coming out yesterday that I was just totally amazed on, because when they had come forward with Trump saying that we need to start opening up, and he would come up with the plan today. So everybody's on pins and needle on the plan. Well, after he got done, it wasn't but a few hours later that Purdue had came forward. And he said that the media needs to just knock it off with this bad info. Because he said food production is what's kept this country strong right now. There is no empty storage facilities. They are full. If people wouldn't shop hoard. And he said he is tired of this bad info. It's making the stock market go crazy, and that everything is full. The truckers are moving as fast as they can. And if it wasn't, and get this, this was said yesterday, if it wasn't for the trucking industry, they're what kept the country afloat with the manufacturers. And he said they deserved awards. And that not only that, the Farmers of America spokesperson came forward with Purdue and said they are in full production and that people need to quit looking and putting out stuff that the farmers are going under. They had an early warm spell, which they were able to plant. They've been able to keep the crop safe through the freeze. And now they're looking at a crop being ready for this next line of production. So, you know, that came from the farming industry. And not only that, but they just got $15.5 million or $1 billion to help do their crops and plant twice as much. And the farmers that are willing to plant multiples will get bonuses out of this. And then Citibank, after that had come forward, and Citibank said the same thing. Quit spreading this bad info. Quit doing this, that the stock market is fixing to crash. Citibank says the banking is strong. There's no sign of even a deep recession. And he says it's backed and supported not by just U.S. investors, but different countries, multiple countries, dozens of countries. And he said that Citibank is not going under. And he said not only that, but Citibank is Saudi. Saudi is not going under. They are not going, their stock market is not crashing. This, and he said, so they need to quit scaring these people. And he said the stock market was, when it crashed, it was due to bank errors on loaning more money than what could be paid back. He said right now, the banking industry is severely strong as of last week due to the SBA loans going through these banks. And he said it was called like a stay investing. And how he described it was these loans will be in these banks for a while, and these companies will be paying it back. And all it did was stimulate the banking industry to be able to keep it afloat. And Citibank said with this, with the manufacturing boom that's happening, the trucking boom that's happening, not only that, he's even said it has brought the railroad back from the brink of bankruptcy at this point.
Wow.
And he said, not to mention everybody ordering online. And he said, but he warns people more buying from China. And so, you know, this is good. This is really, really good. And then after that, we had someone come forward with this whole new wave of, and this was a doctor out of San Diego that came forward. That the media is pushing this new wave that will happen if we were released. And the doctor said he got the memo from the CDC, because I had to go back and read the article, because I had thought it came from the CDC. But this came from a memo they had gotten. And they said what was explained was there would be a new wave. Yes. And there would be a few cases that would happen as we had filtered back into society. The new wave they're talking about is next winter. It's not right now. It's not in the next month. It is next winter. The new wave they're talking about is we will have not only a flu and cold season, but to expect the coronavirus in with the flu season, because it could last until vaccines or pretty much it dwindles down. And they said if we let it just dwindle down with a few of the treatments we have now, it could be up to 1 to 2 years to get rid of this. The one that everybody seems to be pushing is this last wave of new cases that have come in that is causing a rise. And it's from the new ships that have come into port, and those that have been exposed by the spring breakers. In fact, they didn't even mention the homeless this time. It was all the spring breakers. And you know what? They even mentioned traveling like you did, Mary Ellen, state to state. Everybody that's been traveling state to state never showed any signs. And so they're saying, they could even free up tourism by the end of the summer. So we could be looking at maybe being back to normal towards the end of the summer. Europe is now pretty much starting all their small businesses back up. Even though Italy was the worst, they're now letting their small businesses open. And there is a few people over there saying, well, they still have people dying. But even here, we're still going to have people die. I mean, it's a deadly disease. And some people, like the old and the very, very young, especially the old, they just can't fight this. And, so we need to expect that it's going to kill quite a few people between now and when we finally open up. And I think it still will get quite a few people until it runs out. We just have to keep safe distancing. The thing with the governors that they've been talking and banding together, there is a split that's coming that we have heard from the congressmen that they're all pretty much agreeing with Pelosi on some of the stuff she wants to add. Now, the thing about it was that was disturbing. I got to find it so I can definitely get this right for you guys. It was a capitalism thing. And I guess I'll have to bring it up from memory. The Democrats are in Pelosi. The reason they are signing in extras is because of capitalism. Because they're socialism and the Republicans are capitalism. They don't like capitalists. Trump is a capitalist. So anything that he puts into effect would be supporting capitalism. So they don't support the stimulus bill because it's capitalist. So here's their reasoning of why they decided that if he's going to put in capitalist ideas, which is this virus aid, that they have a right to put in their stuff, which is the frivolous, let's fund Big Bird. So, this is amazing to me, their thinking, their thoughts of capitalist and, we're socialists, so we're going to fight you on it. So this could be why we're seeing a lot of the basically them against us is because of the capitalists now. We're capitalism and they don't want nothing to do with us. So the other thing was, I think you guys will like this. More mayors. There has been 20 now that are dropping the restrictions for the churches due to the fact they're being sued really bad. So that was good news. I mean, a bunch of them came out yesterday just on the fact that those few were going after the churches. And let's see, Nancy Pelosi in front of the fridge. We seen her yesterday on CNN in front of her nice pretty fridge that was claiming that the rural businesses, Native American, women, veterans, Black Americans, were all being left out of these SBA loans. The problem with that's racist. And, you know, I've told you guys before that when you go to the Small Business Association, they do not have a sign that says white only loans, because you betcha that they would be taken down for it. So pretty much what was, you know, now she's making a fool of herself.
You say
Let's see,
Pelosi?
what's Chris say?
You say Pelosi's making a fool of himself? Oh, Cuomo is wanting everybody in masks, no matter what. So
Yeah, they're siding with Pelosi, and even a lot of them were saying that they want to wait. Well, all of them are spouting the same thing as Pelosi. They either want the vaccine, or they want to wait until there's no more cases in the United States, or they want to push it to January, February. And what's weird is they're all saying it. It's almost word for word. I mean, it's exact. It's like they're repeating Operation Mockingbird of the media. And, you know, this is just so sad that now we're starting to see the rhetoric come out of them. And to the point where Trump is now saying he could adjourn the Congress and Senate. And, you know, I mentioned that this morning, and it's really something to be discussed, because if you look at that and him making them not be in session, that's kind of dictatorship a little bit. But when we're talking that we ran out as of today of this money for the SBA loans, he's got to do something immediately. And, you know, so you look at that, and if it was me, I would do an executive order on it and leave the adjourning, because you know what they're going to do with this. That's just almost like them given the permission to go after him to be a dictator. And I really think he should think on that before he does it. You know, I was out yesterday for quite a bit in Conway, and Mary Ellen, I didn't see any masks. I'm not seeing nothing. You know, a few people I seen in Walmart that had a glove, but for the most part, I'm not seeing any masks here. So I'm pretty sure we're the big candidate to be released, our state. And even when we went to the bank to check to make sure we had everything where we needed it for the business account and all that, and moving money around, so I can get some cups. Even the ones at our bank, the ladies at the banks, they weren't even at the windows, because, you know, the bank we go to, they're not letting you inside, but the lady at the window wasn't even wearing a mask. And we teased her about it for a while, that she was touching our money. And then she held up her hands, she had gloves on. And so we were like, you're breathing on the money. But, you know, for the most part, I think we're going to be one of the candidates. We've had the least amount of cases. There was 2 more released, one from UAMS yesterday, one from Baptist. So we're down now again to about 5 here.
now remember, with paper, the virus can last on hard surfaces for a couple days, but on paper it dissipates in less than a day, you know, just like 9 hours. So, you know, whether it's cardboard or paper money, it'll last longer on the metal money. But, you know, when I've gotten change from people, I come in, I don't touch my face, I wipe off my steering wheel with a wet wipe, and I come in and I put the change in my pocket. I take the change out of my pocket and I immediately put it in soap and water, and then it's clean, and it's probably not a bad idea under normal circumstances anyhow.
No,
So
money's dirty. I
exactly.
remember Mom used to tell us kids, don't stick that in your mouth. You don't know where that money's been. We grew up hearing that one. And my kids still, my granddaughter, she picks it up and I'm like, oh, don't put that in your mouth. Anywhere but don't put it in your mouth. Mary Ellen, the thing is if we can get the country open and we're one of the states, I believe that we're going to be a big model because we got Cotton. I mean, Tom Cotton is number one with a bullet right now on exposure. And he's even went in and he's making the hospitals here have an actual count. He's checking them. Because even Trump, when I mentioned last week that he was sending his own task force to check the numbers, we're finding out that, my team was right when we sent those nurses in and found out those numbers weren't right. Because now Cuomo is lowering his numbers. That not that many people were actually in there. That he's now claiming he used the model, the original model, with how many people were coming down sick. And of course, he's going to give us a runaround.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, they're still got borders closing. Thank goodness Mary Ellen didn't have to zigzag like up through, Canada to come to Arkansas, because it could have been a very long trip, long trip.
That's why I left when I did, because there was the governor of Kentucky was threatening to close things down, and it's like, I got to get out of here before anything. Who knew what was going to happen? And of course, things took a turn for the better by the time I got here, but not knowing what was going to happen with how much worse it was going to get. And President Trump was saying last week was going to be the worst week of all, and as it reached its peak and so on. So yeah, I've heard people mentioning Arkansas as the state to do the opening up as a test first. So
we've had almost the least amount of people. I mean, except for like Wyoming and Montana.
And
but per capita of people, for some reason, it didn't hit us hard. It really didn't. And then when, I think everybody here was just real cautious. Like, when we were told wash our hands. And I think they took it to heart. And then when, they were saying safe distancing, I seen it a lot happening right off. And I really believe we just got a smart batch of people here. And not only that, but Cotton was really out in the front saying that he was looking into it being biological warfare out of China, not from a bat. And he's been saying that since, I'm going to say about the time that we had the first case hit the States, that he's been looking into it. And he's definitely a smart cookie because he did expose it for, early, but nobody listened to him. And, he's one, Mary Ellen, we're going to have to keep in office. Now, the thing with, we now have to start calling Congress because Congress is the one holding everything up. They're holding up our country by saying, let's go with January. They're the ones that want to do the mail-in ballots. They're the ones that want to, they're just, everything that is opposite of what Trump wants is coming from our Congress people. And, I don't know, it's not the Republicans, it's all Democrats. And I think I'm having my team change their tactics on, we're not going to call Republicans and get their support to go fighting harder. No, I think it's time we call the Democrats and tell them, we're not happy with this, that we speak.
The Dakotas haven't had, I don't think, the Dakotas have done nothing in the way of lockdown or being cautious about anything. They've completely stayed open. I don't remember if it's North or South Dakota. I think North Dakota. You know, the farms are still working, and they haven't shut anything down. And Wyoming hasn't shut anything down that I know of. DeWine today, David, said that Ohio, he's giving very serious thought to opening things back up pretty quickly here. We'll see. He's under a lot of pressure, especially after that protest. Was it yesterday or the day before? They were there. He was trying to do a press conference, and I understand there were people knocking on the windows and everything, trying to interrupt it, just to demand that he be reasonable. Will there be a repeat? You know, a lot depends on what happens when we open up. How well do people continue to wash hands? You know, President Trump was saying to the truckers this morning or this afternoon that, you know, he expects that people who are sick are going to stay home, and, you know, that people will continue washing hands frequently. We'll maintain safe distances. But you know, if somebody is sneezing, 6 feet apart is going to do nothing to protect you from somebody's sneeze or cough, because that is spewing the droplets into the air, and they can go 20, 30 feet. So, you know.
The problem is the media is scaring people, saying it's airborne. You know, this is not an airborne disease. It's a surface disease. Now, like you said, sneezing, making it airborne, but how many people are you around that's going to cough or sneeze that you've noticed? And not very many. And they have to take for granted that most American people aren't going to go out into the public with being sick. The ones that are very infectious, have got high fevers, they are bad sick. They're just not going to go wander around. Those that are a little bit sick, I think they're going to be a little bit more conservative, and they're going to stay in. I think everybody wants this country open. The thing about it is, the media has scared people so bad, and I've seen it in certain groups. One of my own friends, they will wipe their whole house down. They will go outside and come back in and re-wipe everything down because they had been outside. This is not an airborne disease. You cannot get it just going outside. And this is where the media is fear-mongered. And the Federalist had an article today that was blaming the media for fear-mongering all the way around, from saying the trucking industry was not getting anywhere, to the stores were not going to be able to fill back up, to the farmers' crops failure, to the stock market is going to crash and we're going to be in a deep depression. And they have fear-mongered so badly to the American people that, get this, they're getting sick of it. And the poll that the Federalists did to the normal average Democrats that's watching the media, they're now saying they're pretty much sick of what they're hearing over and over and over and over and over again, like when they were doing the same thing during the elections, that it just got to be too much and they're tuning out. So, this would be great. Now, the other thing they are warning about is you can blow through your mask and feel it. It's not protected, and that is a mask that came from China. They're warning big time people that are ordering them online to make sure that when you blow, you cannot feel it, because otherwise you're just wearing something that's not going to protect you.
Cotton fabric breathes, so it is not going to block anything coming through. If you want to make a mask what you use is a HEPA filter for a vacuum cleaner. And that's, a new HEPA filter. That material is thick enough that you can still breathe. But I mean, then you see these people with plastic bags. Well, nothing's gonna get through that. But boy, I tell you, don't asphyxiate yourself.
I'm hoping they do open up in about a week or so, because I think everybody's going to do fine. Jason Goodman's been showing people walking all over New York and even walking by each other, and they're not really getting hit with really big cases of, a huge spike. And if that's the case, somewhere like what we live in, or even Little Rock, I mean, we don't have the busy streets like New York does, or even LA. And I just don't think we're going to have issues with it. And if everybody keeps a safe distance, I think it'll do just fine. I think we'll be open, like the banker said, by August, and doing well. And maybe we could even have a little bit of a summer travel and start traveling and have some vacations. Myself, I'm never going to get back on a cruise ship. No way. Not after what has happened. And now they are really, really looking hard now at all the other viruses, and they're looking at why the vaccines have never been made. That's the big one, that the info I got out from when I got the info from some of the nurses. They said what they're hearing is now they're going to look at China on why vaccines were never even made for the swine flu or H1N1 or SARS when they were promised. And now they're going to dig some stuff up for me to see who actually had said, if it was World Health Organization or if it was actually China that was promising the vaccines. Now we know the Clintons promised one for AIDS. That never happened. And they were supposed to do that with money they received to the William Jefferson Clinton Foundation, because that's the one they used for AIDS research. Oh man, I would wrestle them too, Sherry. Those ice cream liquors just gross me out. It makes me not want ice cream. But long as it's, I don't buy nothing that's not sealed anymore. If it don't have that seal at the top or it seems loose, I'm not buying it, because, that's just gross. Whether they're sick or not, that's disgusting. They ought to go back to eating Tide Pods. I was happy when they did Tide Pods and ate cinnamon by the spoonfuls. So.
I stopped going to Whole Foods. I got so grossed out. There was a group of women in the hijab in the bulk food aisle. And their habit is to use their left hand for wiping themselves and their right hand for eating. Well, they were opening up the bulk food. They were not using the scoop. They were sticking their hands in, grabbing a handful, and I lit into them, and then went and got the manager, and the manager didn't want to do anything. And they just weren't going to take anything from anybody telling them what they could and couldn't do. If it was there, they felt it was for them, for their, it was their right to take what they wanted, however way they wanted to take it. And I just was like, that's it. I'm not buying any more of that bulk stuff. If it's not packaged at this factory, I'm done.
Well, China's, in response to the chat, China has always been about reducing the population, and especially in their own country. But to reduce the population all over the world, that takes a lot of effort from Bloomberg and all of them, and they're all being caught up being over there and doing business with China. Just over the last few weeks, we've seen that Feinstein's over there still with selling secrets to China. Bloomberg's working with labs, Gates working with the labs and giving money for vaccines with chips in them, and then we have, Whitey Bulger and Kerry's son and Biden's son. And then we found out Hunter Biden is still doing business over there by himself. So that's actually two corporations that he's a part of that Biden said in 2018 that, oh, yeah, they stopped all that. If it was Donald Trump Jr., boy, they would really be on him for that. And so, we're looking at all these people have something to protect over there being in China, and they're just going to side with China. And even, I mentioned this morning the stuff that was given to China in our own country, like land, through the Bureau of Land Management. And they even gave away parts of our national parks until Trump got in and made them give it all back. He has really changed things here from what the deep state had going to he's slowly collapsing it around him. What Obama had signed in the last days, Trump has been able to block it and stop it. So.
Well, if it comes back, there's going to be a big question over which virus is it. Is it just regular flu, or is it this coronavirus, or is it some other mutated strain? And they're going to have a vaccine, but every time they do a vaccine for a virus, by the time they go to give it, it doesn't work. And so you got to think about all the stuff they put into a vaccine, because once you have been vaccinated, what has gone into your body cannot be removed. You can detox your body to a certain extent. Garlic and cilantro are real good detoxing agents, but you're not going to get the DNA. You're not good. And I was listening to Dr. Tenpenny this morning. I listened to her. She was on with Dave Dovenmeyer yesterday, and I missed it. So I was listening to it today, and she said that these fetal cells that actually came from the 60s, and they continuously reproduce. She said continuously reproducing cells are cancer cells. And so they're intentionally putting these cells in the vaccines to cause cancer. And, when you're getting fetal tissue, they're using 7-month. Okay, one is 5 months and one's 7 months. One's a male and one's a female aborted fetus. And I can't remember which one was the 5-month-old and the 7-month-old with the kidney cells from the male and female. I had heard somewhere that they're putting male cells into vaccines that give females and vice versa. And, there's a question whether that is causing some of the transgenderism. Thank you, Josephine, for your comment. We all need to encourage one another. It really is important. And the fact that we can share things that we learn and help one another to stay healthy, healthy diet and maintaining a good immune system and is better for you than anything else. And that goes no matter what. She said, disease is something that you're stuck with. She said, this is not a disease. It is an infection. This virus is an infection. And so there are things you can do to overcome an infection or avoid infection. So just good things to keep in mind, because if you've got a disease, chances are then you're going to be fighting something for the rest of your life. It gets in your body and stays there. So, yes, and the best way to get some of these vitamins is to do it in natural products. But, the soil is so depleted that a lot of the good products that we think we're eating that's healthy just doesn't have the nutrition that it had 50 years ago. So, supplements do become important, but you have to be careful and not just be taking the cheapest supplements you can find because they're not going to be as good. So, where are we? Yeah, it's about time to call it a day.
Mhm.
Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for the interaction. It's just really interesting to see. Like I keep said at the beginning, like I said at the end the last couple of days, your awareness, your staying on top of what's going on. I'm really proud of all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being polite to one another. Thank you. It's fun to watch you interact with each other. And it's nice that it's slow enough that it gives us all time to read it and interact with it too. So the GMOs and the seeds is really problematic. If you're going to buy seeds, get heirloom seeds or organic seeds, not GMO seeds, because you want the kind that you can get seeds from what you produce, so that you can have that to plant again next year. Yep. Now, are you saying PG Alive Vitamin as in the company called Alive? Um, is that the brand you're talking about, PG? And definitely, we need to we need to stay in the Word of God because that stimulates your faith. I mean, think about the things that people went through in Bible times, and that was why I was even reading what I did yesterday, talking about Jesus saying, "Hey, you got ears to hear and eyes to see, and you still don't understand." You know, pay attention to what's really going on behind the scenes, not just what's on the surface. So that was out of Mark 8 yesterday. So thank you guys for being here, and we will be back tomorrow. And I love y'all, and I'm glad you're here. Thanks for sharing this time with us. God bless y'all. Bye.